taken over. Okay, so for this one, the first thing that you want to do when you're working with these inequalities is make sure that there's a 0 on the right-hand side, right? So we have this on this side. And how do we get rid of the inequality? We have to determine what first? Whether it's positive or negative. So this says that this red box is greater than greater than or equal to 0, which means it's going to be positive. So once you establish whether it's positive or negative, you can write an equal sign. Okay, our A here is a 1, so we can attempt to regularly factor, right? So we want to know what adds to give us what kind of 5?
Positive.
Positive 5, and multiplies to give us a
Negative 14.
-14, okay? If you don't know, you can make a multiplication chart with that -14. We have 1, 14, 2, and 7. We're adding to get a positive and multiplying to get a negative, so one of them has to be negative, right? And it's going to be the smaller one because we're adding to get a positive. So that's going to be -2 and +7, which gives us our 5. And then what do? We have something times something equal to 0. So we set them both equal to 0, and that will tell us that x is equal to 2 and x is equal to -7, right? You can just take the opposite signs, okay? Remember, there's 2 ways to work these problems. I'll do it both ways. So way 1, we can do the little graph, right? So we have a 2, and we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -7. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just doing that, okay? Our A is positive, so are we pointing up or pointing down? Up. So that means we're going to pass through those points like this, okay? So we only want the positive ones, right? Positives are found above this line, and the negatives are found down here. So for this one, we want from here to here, and from here to here, and we're only taking our x value. So where's this x going? To what? Negative infinity. Don't be thrown off that it's going up with your y value. It's always going to negative on this side and positive on that side. So we're going from negative infinity up to -7, right? And are we using a bracket or parentheses? Bracket, because there's a line underneath it. And then union, bracket, from 2 to infinity. Okay? And then affinity signs always have the parentheses around it, okay? So that's way 1. If you don't like way 1, then you can do way 2 with the number line. So after you figure out what your x's are, make sure you put them in order, -2 and 7. You need to pick a number between each of the intervals, okay? So here, we could pick what? 0. Remember when you had the sign change, the best thing to pick is 0. Over here, we could pick a 3, and over here, we could pick a -8, okay? So you take these numbers and you plug them into the box, okay? And you see whether it's going to be negative or positive. So if we plug in 0, we get 0 plus 0 and then -14. That's going to give us a negative, right? If we plug in a 3, we get 9 plus 15, and then only subtracting 14, so that's going to give us a positive. You don't have to know the number, you just need to know whether it's negative or positive, okay? And then if we do -8, that's going to give us 64, and then minus 40, right? So 64 minus 40 is just 24, and then minus only 14 is still going to give us a positive. You've established you only want the positive ones, so you're taking from 7, or from negative infinity to -7, and then from 2 to infinity. Look at whether it's parentheses or brackets, and then it will still lead you to the same answer. So whichever way you like to do.